Look around you. Most people are sprinting away from discomfort. They are terrified of the struggle, begging for an easy path that leads straight to mediocrity. But you are done running. This audiobook isn't here to make you feel good. It's here to make you dangerous. The truth is, the pain you are desperately trying to avoid is the exact fuel you need for self-mastery. Hardship doesn't break you, it builds you. Stop seeking comfort. Embrace the struggle. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Lie of the Easy Life. You have been lied to. From the moment you were born, society has been whispering a toxic, comforting fantasy into your ear. They told you that success should be smooth. They told you that the ultimate goal of human existence is to eliminate friction. They sold you on the dream of the easy life. Sit on the beach. Automate your income. Avoid stress. Avoid pain. Avoid struggle. Look around. Look at the result of this massive societal lie. It has birthed a generation of fragile, easily broken individuals. We are living in an era of absolute physical and emotional softness. Everything is delivered to our doorstep. Infinite entertainment is available in our pockets. We live in temperature-controlled bubbles, isolated from the harsh realities of the natural world. And because we have engineered the struggle out of our daily lives, we have engineered the strength out of our minds. Listen to me carefully. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. It is a slow-acting poison. It does not kill you instantly. It kills you quietly. It robs you of your ambition. It decays your resilience. It lulls you into a state of chronic apathy. When you seek the easy way out, you are willingly drinking this poison. Every time you choose the couch over the gym, you take a sip. Every time you avoid a difficult conversation to keep the peace, you take a sip. Every time you hit the snooze button, you take a sip. You must wake up. You must recognize the trap. You have a choice. You can continue to sleepwalk through a frictionless existence, or you can intentionally step back into the wild. You can choose the resistance. Let me paint a picture for you. Let's look at two radically different lives. First, consider the trust fund heir. This is an individual who inherited millions. They were born on third base and convinced themselves they had a triple. Every obstacle in their life was removed before they even had to face it. The best tutors, the best schools, the easiest paths. They never had to wonder where their next meal came from. They never had to sweat for a paycheck. They lived a life devoid of friction. But what happens when the real world inevitably comes knocking? What happens when a market crashes, a trusted advisor steals their wealth, or a genuine crisis strikes? They collapse. They shatter into a million pieces. Why? Because they have absolutely no psychological calluses. They never built the muscle of grit. They possess zero resilience, because resilience can only be forged in the fires of adversity. When their artificial bubble pops, they are left defenseless. They lose their fortune, their identity, and their mind. Now, contrast that tragedy with the self-made founder, the builder. This individual started with absolutely nothing. Zero capital, zero connections, zero safety net. They clawed their way up from the absolute bottom. Every single dollar was bled for. Every single connection was earned. They faced hundreds of rejections. They endured sleepless nights. They lived on the brink of failure for years. When the market crashes for the builder, what do? They don't panic. They don't collapse. They analyze. They adapt. They survive. Because to the builder, a crisis isn't a world-ending event. It is just another Tuesday. They have been at the bottom before. They know how to climb in the dark. Every scar on their back is a lesson learned. Every failure was a masterclass in survival. Why did the founder survive while the heir perished? That's the key. The founder understood the fundamental law of human nature. They knew that comfort is the enemy of greatness. They knew that strength is extracted directly from the struggle. It is time to audit your own life. Where are you acting like the heir? Where are you expecting things to be handed to you? Where are you complaining about the friction instead of thanking the universe for the resistance? You must fundamentally shift your behavior today. Transformation does not happen by listening to my voice. It happens by changing your actions. You must actively hunt for discomfort. Stop taking the path of least resistance. If there are stairs, take them. If there is a hard conversation you've been avoiding, have it today. If your workout is getting easy, double the weight or double the distance. You must intentionally manufacture adversity in your life if you want to keep your blade sharp. People will look at you like you're crazy. Your friends and family will tell you to relax. They will tell you to take it easy. They will try to pull you back down into the warm, comfortable swamp of mediocrity. Let them talk. You don't need their permission. You do not need society's approval to forge an iron mind. Let them have their easy, quiet, desperate lives. You are stepping into a different arena. You are declaring war on your own softness. When the alarm goes off at 4:30 a.m. and your warm bed begs you to stay, you must remember the lie. You must remember the poison. It's not about avoiding pain. It's about embracing discipline. Motivation will not save you here. Only raw, unyielding discipline will pull you out of the sheets and into the cold. Write it on your mirror. Burn it into your brain. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. Whenever you are faced with a choice today, between the hard right and the easy wrong, you must choose the hard path. You must pay the toll. There are no hacks. There are no shortcuts. There is only the work, and the work is supposed to be hard. You now understand the poison of the easy life. You see the lie for what it is. You have made the choice to reject comfort and seek the friction. But rejecting the easy life is only the first step. Knowing the truth isn't enough. You must learn how to weaponize the pain you are about to encounter. You have stopped running. Now let's talk about what happens when you turn around and face the fire. Chapter 2. Stop running, start bleeding. Human nature is wired for survival. When we see a threat, our instinct is to run. But in the modern world, the threats are no longer predators in the jungle. They are ignored responsibilities. They are difficult conversations. They are failing projects and plunging bank accounts. And yet, your brain reacts the exact same way. It tells you to hide. It tells you to look away. It begs you to retreat to safety. Stop running. Avoidance does not eliminate the threat. Avoidance feeds it. Avoidance acts as a massive amplifier for your anxiety. Every single day you put off that hard task, it grows in the dark. It becomes a monster in your mind. The mental energy you spend dodging hardship is vastly greater than the energy required to simply conquer it. You are exhausting yourself by running away. You must stop. You must turn around. You must learn to bleed. By bleeding, I mean sacrificing your sweat, your ego, and your effort willingly. When your instinct screams at you to flee, you must do the exact opposite. Run toward the fire. Your brain is an ancient survival machine. It is designed to keep you safe, not to make you successful. It perceives a difficult email the same way it perceives a physical attack. It floods your system with cortisol. You must consciously override this outdated software. You must recognize that the modern world rewards those who do the exact opposite of what their primitive brain dictates. You spend hours rationalizing why you can't start. You spend days distracting yourself with cheap dopamine. You are paralyzed. And what does that paralysis cost you? Everything. The anticipation of pain is always worse than the pain itself. When you run from discomfort, you become a hostage to your own mind. You have a choice. You can remain a hostage, cowering in the corner, waiting for the inevitable disaster to strike, or you can become the aggressor. You can attack the problem. It's not about avoiding the sting. It's about mastering the discipline of confrontation. The moment you face the exact thing that terrifies you, its power evaporates. It shrinks. It becomes manageable. But you have to take that first step into the flames. Run toward the fire. Let's look at reality. Look at the business world. Look at the failing entrepreneur who realizes their cash flow is drying up. What do the weak ones do? They stop checking the bank accounts. They ignore the urgent emails from their accountant. They convince themselves that a miracle client is just around the corner. They avoid the brutal, bleeding reality of their situation because looking at the numbers hurts their ego. They run. And because they run, they bleed out in the dark. Bankruptcy hits them blind. They lose their business, their pride, and their livelihood, all because they refuse to look at the monster. Now, compare that tragedy to the ruthless operator, the champion. When the numbers plunge, the champion does not blink. They audit the disaster daily. They stare directly into the abyss of their failing financials. They look at every missing dollar. They feel the anxiety. They feel the fear, but they do not look away. That's the key. By confronting the brutal facts immediately, the champion neutralizes the paralyzing power of the problem. They don't operate on hope, they operate on raw data. Because they stared the disaster in the face, they can pivot. They cut costs, they fire underperformers, they restructure, they survive because they chose to confront the pain head on. They didn't hide. They said, run toward the fire. You need to understand this on a cellular level. Panic is not a signal to retreat. Panic is a trigger for immediate action. You must rewire your entire fight or flight response. When your stomach drops, when your palms sweat, when your chest tightens, that is your signal to attack. You must learn to willingly bleed sweat and effort to solve the problem today. What are you avoiding right now? What is the one thing you are terrified to look at? Audit your life immediately. Is it your bank account? Open it right now. Look at the exact ugly number. Is it your physical health? Step on the scale. Look at the reality of your undisciplined choices. Is it a toxic relationship? Have the brutal conversation today. Stop waiting for the right time. There is no right time. There is only right now. Make the phone call you have been dreading for 3 weeks. Draft the resignation letter. Confront the underperforming employee. Every second you delay is a second you are leaking power. You are hemorrhaging respect for yourself. Stop the bleeding by doing the hard work. People will tell you to take your time. They will tell you to protect your peace and avoid stress. Ignore them. You don't need their permission. You do not need society's approval to face your own demons. Your true peace is waiting for you on the other side of the war. You have to fight your way through to get it. You must start bleeding. It's not about being fearless. It's about aggressive discipline. The moment you take action, the anxiety shatters. The anxiety is replaced by momentum. Momentum is built by execution. Execution requires you to face the heat. Run toward the fire. Do not let another 24 hours pass while you hide from your reality. The debt doesn't care that you are scared. The failing project doesn't care that you are tired. The expanding waistline doesn't care about your excuses. Reality is entirely indifferent to your feelings. The only thing that changes reality is forced, aggressive action. You must condition yourself to love the heat. When a crisis erupts, you don't step back, you step up. You take absolute ownership. You say, this is my problem and I am going to bleed until it is fixed. That is the mindset of self-mastery. That is how you use adversity as the ultimate fuel. You stop viewing hardship as a threat and start viewing it as an arena where you get to prove exactly who you are. Run toward the fire. Do it every single day. Make it an automatic reflex. The moment fear registers in your brain, your feet move forward. No hesitation, no negotiation, total, absolute commitment to the confrontation. You cannot conquer what you refuse to confront. Avoidance is a guarantee of failure. Confrontation is the only path to victory. You have chosen to stop running. You have chosen to turn around and face the flames. You are learning to bleed for your progress. You have made the choice to attack your fears directly. But turning around is only the beginning of the battle, because even if you stop running, you might still be tempted to simply stand still. You might think that finding a safe, quiet corner is enough to survive. It isn't. You have to realize that playing defense is a losing strategy in the game of life. If you are always reacting, always hiding in your comfort zone, you will eventually be cornered and destroyed. You faced the fire. Now let's talk about the silent, invisible tax of staying inside your comfort zone. Chapter 3. The silent cost of playing it safe. You think you are protecting yourself. You keep your head down. You stay within the lines. You don't speak out of turn. You don't take wild financial leaps, and you avoid radical life changes. You have built a psychological fortress around your life, heavily guarded by routine and predictability. You look at this fortress and you call it security. You call it being responsible. Let me tell you the brutal truth. You have not built a fortress. You have built a tomb. There is a massive, invisible tax on doing nothing. Every single day you choose to stay inside your comfort zone, you are paying this tax. And the currency you are paying with is your ultimate potential. You are trading your greatness for a fleeting feeling of familiarity. You think you are shielding yourself from failure, but in reality, you are guaranteeing it, because safety is a slow death. Look at the natural world. Nothing in nature stands still. Things are either growing or they are dying. The water that sits still becomes stagnant, toxic, and poisonous. The muscle that is not pushed to failure begins to atrophy and shrink. Your life operates on the exact same universal law. Safe choices yield stagnant lives. When you refuse to stretch, you begin to rot from the inside out. Safety is a slow death. You must look at your own life right now with absolute, ruthless honesty. Where are you paying the invisible tax? Where are you choosing the illusion of security over the absolute necessity of growth? Let's look at the ultimate tragedy of the modern world. Look at the employee who stays in a dead-end job for 20 years. You know this person. Maybe you are this person. They hate the work, they are disrespected by management, they are utterly unfulfilled. But they stay. Year after year, decade after decade, they swipe their keycard and sit at their desk. Why? Because they are paralyzed by the fear of rejection. They are terrified of updating their resume, stepping into an interview, and hearing the word no. They accept the mediocre paycheck because it feels certain. They rationalize their misery. They tell themselves the benefits are good. They say the commute is easy. They trade their life force for a pathetic illusion of stability. That's the key. They prioritize the illusion of safety over the reality of their own misery. Fast forward 20 years. The alarm clock rings on their 60th birthday. They look in the mirror, and what do they see? They see a ghost. They see a life full of deep, agonizing regret. They realize that the safe path was actually the most dangerous route they could have possibly taken. Their desperate grip on security ultimately cost them their true purpose. It cost them their financial freedom. It cost them their soul. They risked nothing, and as a result, they gained nothing. They played the game of life not to lose, instead of playing to win. Safety is a slow death. You must look at your own life right now with absolute, ruthless honesty. Where are you paying the invisible tax? Where are you choosing the illusion of security over the absolute necessity of growth? Are you staying in a toxic relationship because you are scared of being alone? Are you keeping your mouth shut in meetings because you are afraid of being judged? Are you sitting on a massive business idea because you are terrified it might fail? You have a choice. You can continue to pay the tax. You can stay in the cage, or you can kick the door off its hinges. Stop telling yourself you are just being practical. Stop calling it realistic. Practicality and realism are usually just cowardice wearing a suit and tie. You use these words to justify your own hesitation. You use them to mask your fear. It's not about avoiding risk. It's about the discipline of taking calculated leaps. You must stop hedging your bets. You must start burning the boats. If you want to take the island, you have to risk drowning in the ocean. You must change your behavior immediately. Transformation requires radical action today. Go to your boss tomorrow and demand the project that scares you. Pitch the client who is completely out of your league. Launch the product you have been hiding on your hard drive for 6 months. Actively seek the rejection. Chase the no. When you push past the perimeter of your comfort zone, alarms will sound in your head. Your friends and family will tell you to be careful. They will tell you to slow down. They will project their own massive insecurities onto you because your newfound ambition threatens their comfortable complacency. Ignore them. You don't need their permission. You do not need society's stamp of approval to chase your own greatness. Let them cling to their safety nets. Let them live their quiet, desperate lives. You are stepping out into the void. You must brainwash yourself with this reality. Write it down, repeat it until it makes you viscerally disgusted by your own hesitation. Safety is a slow death. Every single time you are faced with a decision, ask yourself, is this the safe choice or is this the growth choice? If it feels safe, run the other way. The clock is ticking. You are running out of time. Every second you spend playing it safe is a second permanently stolen from your legacy. Do not arrive at the end of your life safely in a well-preserved body. Arrive battered. Arrive scarred. Arrive completely exhausted, knowing you left absolutely nothing on the table. You now see the invisible tax. You recognize the tomb you have been building around yourself. You understand that playing it safe is the ultimate gamble, a gamble where you wager your entire life and win absolutely nothing. You have made the decision to step out of the fortress. You are going to take the risk. But understand this, when you finally step out of your comfort zone, you will inevitably take hits. You will experience failure. You will feel pain. How you process that pain will dictate the entire trajectory of your future. You have rejected the illusion of safety. Now, let's talk about how to process the inevitable strikes of reality. Chapter 4. Pain is information, not punishment. Stop complaining. Stop asking, why me? Every time you face a setback, you throw a pity party. You tell yourself a tragic story. You act as if the universe has singled you out for suffering. You believe that your failed business, your broken relationship, or your empty bank account is a cosmic punishment. You think life is treating you unfairly. Wake up. The universe does not care about your feelings. The universe operates on absolute, uncompromising laws of cause and effect. It is completely indifferent to your tears. The hardship you are experiencing right now is not a punishment. It is objective feedback. It is purely, objectively, data. When you touch a hot stove, your hand burns. The fire is not punishing you. The fire is not angry with you. The burn is simply physical data telling your brain, do not touch this again. Emotional and professional pain operate on the exact same principle. Hardship is simply the universe highlighting exactly where you are weak, where you are ignorant, and where you must adapt. Your problem is that you let your ego get in the way of the lesson. You feel the sting of failure and you immediately drown in your own feelings. You let the shame consume you. You must fundamentally change how you process failure. You must adopt a new baseline operating system. Here is your new rule. Extract the data, discard the emotion. Look at the highest performers on the planet. Look at the elite professional athlete. Imagine a fighter who just suffered a humiliating, devastating knockout on live television in front of millions of people. What does the amateur do in that situation? The amateur hides. The amateur makes excuses. They blame the referee. They blame their training camp. They drown their sorrows at the bar because the emotional sting of defeat is too heavy to carry. Now, look at the champion. What does the champion do? The champion goes straight to the film room. They sit in a dark room, pull up the tape of their own humiliating defeat, and they press play. They watch the exact moment they got knocked unconscious, and then they rewind it. They watch it again, and again, and again. Are they torturing themselves? No. Are they crying over the loss? Absolutely not. They're doing something entirely different. They're looking for the dropped left hand. They're looking for the heavy front foot. They're looking for the exact micromechanical failure that allowed their opponent to land the strike. They separate their ego from the event entirely. They extract the data, discard the emotion. They don't care that it hurts to watch. They only care about the intelligence they can gather from the wreckage. They use the agonizing pain of the loss as a spotlight, illuminating the exact flaw in their armor. Once they find the flaw, they go to the gym and drill the defense 10,000 times so they never lose that way again. That's the key. The champion weaponizes their failure. The amateur is victimized by it. You must become the champion of your own life. You must start watching your own game tape. Did your business go under? Stop crying about the economy. Stop blaming your partner. Sit down, open the books, and look at the undeniable facts. Did you overleverage? Did you ignore the market? Did you fail to execute? Find the mechanical failure, extract the data, discard the emotion. Did you get rejected for the promotion? Stop gossiping about the boss. Stop claiming the system is rigged. Look at your own metrics. Look at your own output. Were you truly undeniable, or were you just entitled? Find the gap in your skill set. Extract the data, discard the emotion. Did your diet fail again? Stop blaming your genetics. Look at your grocery receipts. Look at your nighttime habits. You ate the junk food. You skipped the gym. Own it. Find the trigger. Extract the data. Discard the emotion. You have a choice. You can continue to let pain destroy your confidence, or you can let pain direct your evolution. You can be crushed by the weight of your mistakes, or you can stand on top of them to reach higher ground. It's not about emotional fragility, it's about analytical discipline. When you fail, you must become cold. You must become a surgeon operating on your own life. You take the scalpel, you cut open the failure, and you pull out the tumor of your own incompetence. It will hurt, it will bleed, but it is the only way to heal correctly. People around you will not understand this. They will want to coddle you. When you fail, they will come to you with soft words. They will tell you it wasn't your fault. They will offer you excuses on a silver platter. They want you to stay weak because it makes them feel better about their own failures. Reject their sympathy. Tell them to keep their pity. You do not need their permission to be ruthless with your own self-assessment. You do not need their comfort. You need the cold, hard truth. If they think you are being too hard on yourself, let them think it. They are amateurs. You are building a dynasty. From this second forward, you will never look at pain the same way. When the inevitable strike of hardship hits you, you will not flinch. You will not ask why. You will ask, what is this teaching me? You will pull out your notebook. You will write down the brutal facts. You will build a new protocol, and you will move forward, heavier with knowledge, completely stripped of illusion. Extract the data, discard the emotion. Make this the absolute law of your life. You now know how to process the pain. You know how to take the raw heat of failure and turn it into calculated intelligence. You have stopped running from the fire, and you have learned how to analyze the burns. But understanding the data is just the intellectual side of the war. To truly survive the onslaught of a difficult life, your mind must become an impenetrable fortress. You need a psychological framework that cannot be broken by fatigue, doubt, or despair. You have the data. Now, let's talk about how to build the armor. Chapter 5. Forging the Iron Mind. You believe a fundamental lie about mental toughness. You look at the elite performers. You look at the titans of industry, the special forces operators, and the absolute masters of their craft. You look at their unbreakable focus, and you tell yourself a story to make your own weakness feel acceptable. You tell yourself they were simply born that way. You claim they have a genetic gift. You believe mental toughness is a trait you either have or you don't. You are completely wrong. Mental toughness is not a genetic trait. It is a forged skill. Iron does not come out of the earth in the shape of a razor-sharp sword. It is pulled from the dirt as a crude, ugly rock. It has to be melted down. It has to be beaten with a heavy hammer. It has to be plunged into the fire, taken out, and smashed again, over and over. That is the only way it becomes a weapon. Your mind operates on the exact same principle. It must be forged. The problem is the modern world. Your life is too easy. Society has eliminated all the natural friction that used to keep human beings sharp. You don't have to hunt for your food. You don't have to build your own shelter. You live in a climate-controlled box, and when you are hungry, a stranger delivers a hot meal directly to your door. Because your life is so easy, your mind has become soft. If you wait for a massive, catastrophic life event to test your resilience, you will shatter. You will break into a million pieces because you have never built the armor. You cannot wait for the storm to arrive to start building your shelter. You must train for the war during peacetime. How do you do that? You must intentionally manufacture struggle. You must inject deliberate daily micro-adversities into your routine. Here is your new baseline operating system. Burn this into your psychology. Do what you hate daily. I am not talking about self-destruction. I am talking about self-regulation. You must look at your daily routine and actively seek out the tasks that make you uncomfortable. Let's look at the real-world application. Let's look at the alarm clock. When that alarm sounds at 4 a.m., the temperature in your room is cold. Your bed is incredibly warm. Your primitive brain starts negotiating immediately. It tells you that you worked hard yesterday. It tells you that 5 more minutes won't hurt. It tells you to hit the snooze button. That specific moment is not just about waking up early. That moment is a battle for the absolute control of your life. It's not about physical fatigue, it's about psychological discipline. When you throw the covers off and put your feet on the cold floor, you are casting a vote of confidence in yourself. You are proving definitively that your conscious mind is the master and your physical impulses are the slaves. You do not negotiate with weakness. Do what you hate daily. Let's look at the ice-cold shower. You wake up, you walk into the bathroom, you turn the handle all the way to cold. You stand there looking at the freezing water. Every cell in your body is screaming at you to turn on the hot water. Stepping into that ice is a manufactured trauma. When the cold hits your chest, your breath catches, your body panics. It triggers a literal fight or flight response. And what do? You stand there. You control your breathing. You force your body to submit to your mind. You tell your panicking nervous system, I am in charge. We are not running. That's the key. The physical benefits of the cold water are secondary. The primary benefit is the daily repetition of conquering your own panic. You are literally rewiring your brain to stay calm inside the fire. Do what you hate daily. Choose the hardest possible workout. Lift the heavier weight. Run the extra mile when your lungs are burning. Have the difficult conversation you have been putting off. When you intentionally choose the path of most resistance, you are building psychological calluses. You are thickening the skin on your mind. You have a choice. You can continue to seek the path of least resistance. You can continue to let your feelings dictate your actions. You can let your desire for comfort run your life. But understand this, a life dictated by comfort is a life of absolute mediocrity. Or you can choose the hammer. You can choose the anvil. You can choose to forge the iron mind. Start today. Make a list of 3 things you absolutely despise doing. Things that are good for you, but that you constantly avoid because they're uncomfortable. Maybe it's making 10 cold calls. Maybe it's doing 50 burpees. Maybe it's sitting in silence for 20 minutes with 0 distractions. Whatever it is, execute it immediately. Do not think about it. Action must be immediate. When you start doing this, people will think you have lost your mind. Your coworkers will ask why you are doing the hardest tasks first. Your family will ask why you are up before the sun. They will tell you to relax. They will tell you that you are taking life too seriously. They will try to drag you back down to their level of comfortable apathy. Let them talk. Let them judge. You don't need their permission. You do not need their approval to build an unbreakable mind. They do not understand the war you are preparing for. They do not understand that you are building a fortress while they are sleeping in a tent. Ignore the noise. Focus on the forge. Do what you hate daily. When you are tired, do what you hate daily. When you are unmotivated, do what you hate daily. When every fiber of your being begs you to quit, you lean in harder. This is how you build a mind that cannot be broken by a failing economy, a shattered relationship, or a devastating loss. You build the tolerance for pain on your own terms, so when life forces pain upon you, You do not flinch. You now have the blueprint for the iron mind. You understand the necessity of manufactured struggle. You know that you must intentionally seek out the cold, the heavy, and the difficult. You have committed to the daily forge. But be warned, when you forge this level of mental toughness, you will change. Your standards will skyrocket, and as you elevate your standards, you will look around and realize that the people you used to relate to no longer make sense to you. Your evolution will create distance. You have forged your armor. Now, let's talk about the solitary reality of wearing it. Chapter 6. Isolation, the price of elevation. You look around and realize the room is empty. Your phone is not ringing. The notifications have stopped. The invitations to Friday night drinks have dried up. You sit in your room working, bleeding for your goals, and a quiet, insidious voice in your head whispers a terrifying thought. It tells you that you are making a massive mistake. It tells you that you are losing your mind. It tells you that because you are alone, you must be failing. Silence that voice immediately. You are not failing. You are ascending. Isolation is not a punishment. Isolation is the mandatory entry fee to the top tier of human performance. When you choose the path of severe struggle, a brutal reality sets in. You will rapidly, inevitably, and permanently outgrow your current circle of comfort seekers. To reach the summit, you must outgrow the crowd. Look at the people you call your friends. Look closely at their daily habits. Most people are desperately clinging to the middle. They pray for the weekend to arrive so they can numb their brains and forget their miserable work week. They complain endlessly about their bosses, their shrinking bank accounts, and their lack of progress, yet they do absolutely nothing to change it. They are allergic to the fire you are now running toward. When you start waking up at 4 a.m., you become a problem. When you start rejecting the junk food, you become a problem. When you start demanding excellence from yourself and refusing to participate in mindless gossip, you become a massive threat to their ego. You become a walking, breathing mirror that reflects their own laziness back into their faces. And they will hate you for it. They will not celebrate your discipline. They will actively try to sabotage it. They will say you have changed. They will say you are obsessed. They will say you need to find balance. Listen to me very carefully. Balance is a word invented by the mediocre to justify their lack of obsession. It's not about being antisocial. It's about the discipline of environment. You cannot fly like an eagle if you insist on scratching in the dirt with the turkeys. You must outgrow the crowd. Let's look at the ultimate test of this reality. Let's look at the young builder, the student with a massive, burning vision. It is Friday night at 10 p.m. The dormitories are loud, the music is blasting, the entire campus is heading out to the parties to drown their potential in cheap alcohol. The crowd is doing exactly what the crowd always does, distracting themselves from the agonizing pain of an average existence. But the builder is not there. The builder is sitting in a silent room staring at a glaring laptop screen. They are writing code, they're editing video, they are drafting a business plan that will change their family's lineage forever. Their friends text them, "Come out, stop working so hard, live a little." The builder declines. Quickly, the texts turn to mockery. "You're boring. You're wasting your youth. You think you're better than us." This is the exact definition of the crabs in a bucket mentality. When one crab tries to climb out of the bucket to absolute freedom, the other crabs do not push it up. They reach up, grab it by the legs, and violently pull it back down into the misery. Your current circle will do the exact same thing to you. They will pull you down because your ascent makes them painfully aware that they are trapped. But the builder keeps working. The builder accepts the loneliness. Fast forward 5 years. The crowd is still sitting at the exact same bar, complaining about the exact same problems, trapped in the exact same lower middle class struggle. And the builder? The builder just sold their first company. The builder gained an empire. They lost the dead weight. and they bought their absolute freedom. That's the key. The builder understood that the temporary sting of being left out is absolutely nothing compared to the permanent agony of being left behind in life. They made the definitive decision to outgrow the crowd. You have a choice. You can shrink yourself to fit into a room you have already outgrown, or you can walk out the door and lock it permanently behind you. You cannot keep the anchor and sail the ship. You have to pick one. You must stop apologizing for your ambition. Stop saying, "Sorry, I can't make it," with guilt in your voice. Stop trying to explain your grand vision to people who only understand small talk. You don't need their permission to leave them behind. You do not owe anyone an apology for your own evolution. Audit your circle immediately. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they pushing you, or are they pulling you? Are they talking about ideas, or are they gossiping about people? Are they holding you accountable, or are they offering you excuses? If they are not dragging you toward your highest self, they are a liability. You must cut them loose. It will be painful. It will be awkward. Do it anyway. Outgrow the crowd. Loneliness is the gym where champions train. When you are alone, there is no one to impress. There is no audience to perform for. There is no one to hide behind. It is just you and the raw, brutal truth of your own execution. Embrace the silence. Use the isolation to focus your mind like a laser. The higher you climb on the mountain, the thinner the air gets. The crowd cannot breathe up there. Only the elite survive the altitude. Reframe your loneliness today. When you sit by yourself on a Saturday night working on your dreams, do not feel sorry for yourself. Feel powerful. Feel dangerous. You are doing what 99% of the population is absolutely terrified to do. You are paying the price up front. Your isolation is not a symptom of depression. It is a badge of absolute honor. It proves you are no longer compatible with mediocrity. Outgrow the crowd. Let that phrase echo in your head every single time you feel the pang of missing out. You are not missing out on anything except hangovers, regret, and wasted time. You are exactly where you need to be. You are in the forge. You have a choice. Stay in the bucket and die with the crabs, or climb out, walk alone, and conquer the world. The summit is reserved exclusively for those who are willing to bleed in the dark. Outgrow the crowd. You have accepted the solitude. You have cut the dead weight and learned to walk alone. You are standing in the silence, building your empire. But as you sit in that silence, ghosts from your past will inevitably rise up. Your old failures, your deepest embarrassments, your darkest traumas. Most people run from these ghosts. They let their past paralyze them. You are going to do the exact opposite. You are going to learn how to load that trauma into your weapon. You have embraced the isolation. Now, let's talk about the dark fuel. Chapter 7. Weaponize your scars. You are dragging your past behind you like a corpse. You carry your traumas, your failures, and your deep embarrassments everywhere you go. You let them weigh you down. You use them as excuses for why you haven't reached your potential. You tell people about your difficult childhood. You talk about the business partner who betrayed you. You complain about the bitter rejection that shattered your confidence. You treat your history as a heavy burden that you are forced to carry. Stop carrying your past. Start firing it. Your past trauma is not baggage, it is ammunition. The deepest psychological wounds you possess, the rejections, the humiliations, the betrayals, these are not things to be feared. They are the most potent, concentrated sources of energy on the planet. You just have not learned how to harness them. You have been told to let it go. You have been told to find peace. You have been conditioned by a soft society to heal simply so you can forget. Listen to me. We do not heal to forget. We heal to conquer. You must take the worst things that have ever happened to you and turn them into an unfair advantage. You must use the dark fuel. What is the dark fuel? It is the visceral, burning pain of being told you are not good enough. It is the anger of being overlooked. It is the humiliation of failing publicly while everyone watched and laughed. This is a massive, highly combustible energy source. Most people let this fuel burn their house down. They let it turn them bitter. They let it destroy their self-esteem. They let it drive them to the bottom of a bottle. You have a choice. You can let the fire consume you, or you can trap it in an engine and use it to propel you forward at warp speed. You can let your past destroy you, or you can weaponize your scars. Let's look at the real-world application of this. Let's look at two individuals who experience the exact same brutal rejection. The first individual gets laughed out of the boardroom. Their idea is crushed. They're told they lack talent, they lack vision, and they will never succeed. What do? They go home. They cry. They seek validation from their friends. They let the rejection validate their deepest insecurities. They surrender. They let the dark fuel burn them alive from the inside out. Now, look at the champion. The champion experiences that exact same rejection. They feel the exact same sting of humiliation, but they do not cry. They do not seek comfort. They swallow the pain whole. They let that rejection burn a hole in their stomach, and then they go to work. They use that anger to fuel a 12-hour work session. They use that humiliation to outstudy, outwork, and outlast every single person in that boardroom. They don't try to find peace with the people who doubted them. They build an empire so massive it casts a permanent shadow over their doubters. That's the key. The champion understands the law of energetic conversion. They take a negative, destructive emotion and forcefully convert it into relentless, aggressive execution. Use the dark fuel. Think about the individual born into severe, crushing poverty. They spent their childhood watching their parents struggle. They felt the shame of wearing torn clothes. They felt the anxiety of empty cupboards. The amateur uses that poverty as a lifelong excuse. They say the system is rigged. But the master? The master uses the absolute terror of going back to that poverty as a daily, unquenchable fire. When they are tired, they remember the empty cupboards. When they want to quit, they remember the shame. They channel the trauma of their youth into a hyper-focused obsession with wealth creation. Use the dark fuel. You need to completely audit your relationship with your pain. It's not about holding a toxic grudge. It's about the discipline of transmutation. You must stop venting. Every time you complain to a friend about how someone wronged you, you are letting the steam out of the engine. You are wasting the fuel. Stop talking about it. Shut your mouth. Keep the pressure high. Trap the gas inside the cylinder so it has nowhere to go but push the piston. When you feel that dark energy rising, when you remember the insult, when you recall the failure, do not suppress it. Do not meditate it away. Sit down at your desk, open your laptop, go to the gym, pick up the heavy weight. Channel that exact, precise emotion into a highly productive block of deep work. Strike the keys harder, lift the weight faster, let the anger make you undeniable. People will tell you this is unhealthy. They will tell you that you need to forgive and forget. They will tell you that holding on to your scars makes you toxic. Let them talk. You don't need their permission to hold on to your edge. You do not need society's approval to use your own pain for your own progress. They do not understand the mechanics of greatness. They want you to let it go because they are terrified of the monster you will become when you finally learn how to harness it. Your scars are proof that you survived, but survival is the absolute lowest bar. You are not here just to survive. You are here to dominate. Take every insult, take every doubt, take every single person who ever looked down on you and put them in the furnace. Burn them for energy. Let their doubt light up the city you are about to build. Use the dark fuel. Make it a daily practice. When the alarm goes off and you're exhausted, find the memory that makes you angry. Use it to throw the covers off. When you're on the last rep and your muscles are failing, find the memory that makes you feel inadequate. Use it to push the bar through the ceiling. Do not run from your demons. Put a harness on them and make them pull the sled. You have learned to stop running. You have learned to process the data of your failures. You have isolated yourself to build your empire, and now you have loaded your weapon with the darkest, most potent fuel available to you. You are fired up. You are angry. You are ready to attack. But there is a fatal flaw in this system. Emotion, even the darkest and most powerful emotion, is temporary. Anger fades. The sting of rejection eventually dulls. The dark fuel will give you an explosive head start, but it will not sustain you for the marathon. If you rely purely on how you feel to get the work done, you are going to crash. You have weaponized your emotions. Now we must completely remove them from the equation. Chapter 8. The Myth of Motivation. You have been sold another massive lie. You live in a culture that worships the spark. You scroll through social media for hours looking for a rush. You watch the hype videos. You listen to the dramatic speeches with the cinematic music in the background. You are desperately searching for a feeling. You call it motivation. You wait for it to arrive before you start your work. You tell yourself a comforting story. You tell yourself that when you finally feel inspired, you will execute. Stop waiting. You are waiting for a ghost. Motivation is a myth. It is a completely fabricated dependency created by a soft society. Motivation is a fickle, unreliable, and entirely unpredictable emotion. It is a temporary chemical spike in your brain that vanishes the exact moment things get hard. It disappears the second you hit friction. Relying on motivation to achieve your goals is a guaranteed strategy for absolute failure. Motivation is reserved entirely for amateurs. Amateurs wait until they feel like enduring the struggle. Champions do not care how they feel. Champions operate on a cold, unyielding law. That law is strict, uncompromising execution. Discipline dictates the outcome. If you wait until you feel like doing the hard work, you will be waiting until you are dead. The friction of life does not care if you were inspired today. The market does not care if you slept well last night. Your goals are completely indifferent to your emotional state. Every single morning you wake up and ask yourself, do I feel like doing this today? You are losing. You are surrendering your power. You are giving your temporary, fleeting emotions the authority to dictate your permanent future. You must sever this reliance immediately. You must realize that discipline dictates the outcome. Let's look at reality. Let's look at the professional writer. The amateur writer sits at a coffee shop staring at a blank screen, waiting for the muse to strike. They claim they have writer's block. They say the energy in the room just isn't right. They say they need a burst of inspiration. They wait weeks, months, or even years to produce a single mediocre chapter. They are total slaves to their mood. Now look at the professional. The professional writer sits down at their desk at 7 a.m. every single morning. It does not matter if they are inspired. It does not matter if they are deeply depressed, completely exhausted, or furiously angry. They place their hands on the keyboard and they churn out 2,000 words. They do not negotiate with their feelings. They simply execute the mandate. That's the key. Action must always precede feeling, never the other way around. The professional knows that the physical act of typing creates the inspiration. The amateur desperately hopes the inspiration will create the typing. The amateur fails. The professional publishes. Why? Because the professional knows that discipline dictates the outcome. You must adopt the mindset of the professional today, whatever your mission is. Maybe you are building a massive business. Maybe you are recording and publishing 2 audio modules every single week. Maybe you are trying to lose 50 pounds. Whatever the target is, you must stop checking your emotional temperature. It is entirely irrelevant. It's not about lacking inspiration. It's about absolute discipline. You must remove the decision-making process from your daily routine entirely. You wake up, you look at the schedule, you execute the schedule. You do not ask yourself how you feel about the schedule. When the alarm rings, you put your feet on the floor. When the calendar says it is time to record, you sit down and hit the record button. When it is time to publish, you hit publish. You execute blindly. You execute ruthlessly. You have a choice. You can continue to be a helpless victim of your fluctuating moods, or you can become a mechanical force of execution. A machine does not need a hype video to turn on. It just needs the switch to be flipped. You are the switch. People will tell you that your approach is too rigid. They will say you are going to burn out. They will tell you that you need to listen to your body, take a mental health day, or wait for the stars to align. Let them preach their softness. Let them protect their fragility. You don't need their permission to be a relentless force of nature. You do not need their approval to ignore your own excuses. While they are sitting around waiting for the perfect weather conditions, you are building an empire in the middle of a hurricane. Repeat this rule until it is permanently carved into your subconscious. Discipline dictates the outcome. When you are exhausted and your eyes are heavy, discipline dictates the outcome. When you are bored and distracted, discipline dictates the outcome. When the dark fuel from your past runs dry and you feel absolutely nothing inside, discipline dictates the outcome. You do not need to feel powerful to act powerful. You just need to take the next step. The momentum will follow the action. The emotion will follow the motion. Audit your life right now. Where are you waiting for motivation? Look at the projects sitting half-finished on your hard drive. Look at the promises you made to yourself months ago that you have already broken. You abandoned them because the initial excitement faded. You quit because it stopped being fun. You quit because you stopped feeling motivated. Starting today, you will never use the word motivation again. Strike it from your vocabulary. Treat it like a dirty word. Replace it with the word obligation. You have an obligation to your future self. You have an obligation to your highest potential. Write down exactly what you must do tomorrow. Assign a specific, non-negotiable time to it. When that exact time arrives, turn your brain off. Do not think. Do not assess. Just move. The discipline will carry you across the finish line long after the motivation has died in the dirt. You now understand the fatal trap of waiting to feel ready. You have abandoned the amateur's reliance on inspiration and embraced the cold, mechanical reality of the professional. You know that your schedule is your absolute master, and your feelings are completely irrelevant. You have become a machine of execution. But even a highly disciplined machine will eventually hit a wall of absolute, crushing resistance. There will come a specific moment when the pain of the struggle reaches a blinding peak. Your body will fail. Your mind will scream a single, desperate command: quit. You are disciplined, but you are still human. You will inevitably face the breaking point. How you navigate that specific, agonizing fraction of a second will determine your entire destiny. You stopped waiting for motivation. Now, let's talk about the exact moment your mind tries to betray you.
Chapter 9. The Anatomy of a Breakpoint. You have built the iron mind. You are executing with cold, mechanical discipline. You are extracting the data from your failures and using your deepest traumas as dark fuel. You are ignoring the crowd. You think you are invincible. You are not. There is a monster waiting for you in the dark. No matter how tough you think you are, no matter how much you have trained your mind, you will inevitably hit the wall. You will experience a specific, agonizing moment in your journey where your physical body fails and your mind begs you to surrender. This is the break point. Your lungs are burning, your vision is blurring, the bank account is empty, the deadline is an hour away, the market is crashing against you, and you have absolutely nothing left to give. A voice inside your head, louder and more persuasive than it has ever been, screams a single, desperate command: Quit. It tells you that you have done enough. It tells you that no one will judge you for resting. It offers you a perfectly logical, perfectly reasonable excuse to fold. Do not listen to the voice. The voice is a liar. Your brain is designed for conservation. It is an ancient evolutionary survival mechanism. When it senses extreme stress and prolonged friction, it pulls the emergency brake. It is terrified of depletion. It wants to keep you fat, warm, and safe. Your brain will literally manufacture physical symptoms of failure to trick you into stopping. It will create phantom pains. It will flood your conscious mind with crippling doubt. It will tell you that you are at 100% capacity, and if you push any harder, you will break. This is a biological illusion. You are not at the end of your capacity. Science proves that when your mind tells you that you are utterly exhausted, you are only at 40% of your true physical and mental threshold. You have a massive reserve tank of raw power that you have never even touched. Pushing exactly one step past this specific threshold is where exponential growth actually occurs. True mastery is born in the dark space immediately following the breakpoint. When you hit the wall, you are standing directly on the border of your old self. You have a choice. You can obey the voice, turn around, and go back to the comfortable, mediocre prison you just crawled out of. Or you can shatter the border. You can take one more step. Look at the ultimate crucible of human endurance. Look at military Hell Week. These elite recruits are subjected to days of severe sleep deprivation, freezing ocean water, and relentless, agonizing physical torture. On day 3, their bodies start shutting down. They hallucinate, they shiver uncontrollably. Their minds scream at them that they have reached the absolute limit of human biology. The instructors stand there holding a brass bell, offering them a warm blanket, a hot coffee, and immediate relief if they just walk over and quit. The weak ones ring the bell. They believe the lie their brain is telling them. They surrender to the breakpoint. But look at the recruits who survive. Look at the ones who refuse to ring the bell. They are in the exact same physical agony. They are freezing. They are completely exhausted. But instead of looking at the entire remaining week of torture, they shrink their world down to a single hyper-focused action. They tell themselves one more step. They take the step. Then they take another, and a miracle happens. The recruits realize that their physical bodies can go 20 times further than their conscious minds believed possible. They push past the breakpoint, and they tap into a secondary reserve of raw primal energy. That's the key. By surviving that agonizing threshold, they shatter their previous limitations permanently. They never look at pain the same way again. They survive because they mastered the micro-command. One more step. You must adopt this exact protocol immediately. You are going to face your own Hell Week. It might not be in the freezing ocean. It might be at 2 a.m. when your business is collapsing, your screen is blurry, and you are entirely alone. Your mind will tell you to shut the laptop. It will tell you to sleep. It will tell you that it is over. It's not about avoiding exhaustion. It's about the discipline of continuation. You do not need to figure out how to survive the next 5 years in that agonizing moment. You do not even need to figure out how to survive the next hour. You only need to survive the next 10 seconds. You must shrink the world. If you look at the mountain peak while you are struggling to breathe, you will quit. The distance is too vast. The pain is too high. So you do not look at the peak. You look at the dirt directly in front of your boots. You focus entirely on the space between your left foot and your right foot. You silence the panic. You issue the command, one more step. Write one more sentence. Make one more cold call. Lift the weight one more time. Read one more page. You detach entirely from the grand vision and you become a microscopic execution machine. Your family and friends will watch you push yourself to the absolute brink. They will become terrified. They will stage an intervention. They will tell you that you are going to kill yourself with stress. They will beg you to take a day off. Ignore them. You don't need their permission to meet your highest self.
They have never been to the breakpoint. They live their entire lives comfortably in the shallow end of the pool. They have absolutely no idea what you are capable of when you dive into the freezing depths. One more step. This must become your internal chant. When the dark fuel runs out, one more step. When the discipline feels too heavy to carry, one more step. When you are entirely convinced you have absolutely nothing left, you prove your own mind wrong. You take one more step. You do this because the version of you that exists on the other side of the breakpoint is a titan. The old you dies at the wall. The new you is born on the other side. But you have to pay the toll in raw, uncompromising suffering. Audit your current efforts right now. Are you quitting when you feel tired, or are you quitting when you are truly done? The brutal truth is that you are quitting when you are tired. You are letting the breakpoint dictate your destiny. You are turning around just inches from the gold. Never again. From this moment forward, when the pain blinds you, you do not retreat. You lean into the darkness. You let the old version of yourself shatter into a million pieces. You step over the wreckage and you keep moving. One more step. You now know the anatomy of the wall. You understand that your brain will lie to you, and you know exactly how to shut that lie down. You have mastered the micro command. You have proven that you can push through the agonizing threshold and shatter your own limitations. You have survived the breakpoint. But greatness is not a one-time event. You do not cross the breakpoint once and earn a permanent vacation. Surviving the wall was just the initiation. Now you must sign the lifelong agreement. You must understand the permanent reality of the life you have chosen. You pushed past the limit. Now let's talk about the infinite horizon.
Chapter 10. The Champion's Contract. You have survived the breakpoint. You have pushed past your perceived limits. You are operating at a level of intensity that 99% of society cannot even comprehend. You have built an absolute fortress in your mind. And because you have come this far, you are now vulnerable to the most dangerous, seductive lie of all, the lie of the finish line. You believe a story. You tell yourself that if you just push a little harder, make a little more money, or achieve that one massive defining goal, you will finally be able to stop. You think there is a summit waiting for you, a place where you can plant your flag, sit down, breathe a sigh of relief, and rest forever. Wake up. There is no summit. There is no finish line. The struggle never ends. Most people hear that phrase and feel a crushing sense of despair. They think, if the struggle never ends, what is the point of working so hard? They want a permanent vacation. They want to clock out of life. They view hardship as a dark, temporary tunnel they must crawl through just to reach a paradise of eternal comfort. But you are not most people. You must reframe this reality entirely. When I tell you that the struggle never ends, I am not handing you a life sentence of misery. I am handing you the keys to your absolute liberation. That's the key. The moment you accept that the mountain has no top, you are finally free. You stop frantically looking for the exit. You stop waiting for the mythical day when life will finally get easy. Instead, you start extracting joy from the sheer violence of the climb. You stop viewing friction as an obstacle and start recognizing it as the exact mechanism that keeps you alive. Look at the true elite. Look at the undisputed world champion. They spend 2 decades bleeding in the gym. They sacrifice their youth, their relationships, and their physical bodies to reach the absolute pinnacle of their sport. Finally, they win the gold. The confetti falls. The crowd screams their name. They have arrived. They retire with millions in the bank. They never have to work another day in their life. And what happens next? Within 6 months, they are deeply, clinically depressed. They lose their minds. They turn to destructive habits. Why? Because they stopped climbing. The moment they stopped moving forward, they started dying from the inside out. They lost their purpose. They thought the gold medal was the destination, but the gold medal was just a piece of metal. Now, look at the master. Look at the champion who understands the contract. When they retire from their sport, they do not go to the beach.
They immediately start a new, grueling discipline. They tie a white beginner's belt around their waist and step onto a Brazilian jiu-jitsu mat to get choked out by strangers. Or they pour their capital into a ruthless, high-stakes business venture where they are once again at the absolute bottom of the food chain. Why would they subject themselves to that pain when they have already won? Because they understand the ultimate truth. The struggle was always the reward. The adversity was the oxygen. The moment you remove the heavy weight from your back, your spine begins to weaken. The struggle never ends. You must sign the champion's contract today. This is a non-negotiable, lifelong agreement you make with yourself. You are committing to a lifetime of climbing. When you reach the top of your current mountain and plant your flag, you are allowed exactly 5 minutes to look at the view. Then you must turn your head, locate a taller, darker, more treacherous peak in the distance, and start walking toward it immediately. The moment you declare victory and sit down, complacency sets in. Complacency breeds weakness. Weakness invites destruction. You must stay hungry. You must stay cold. It's not about the flaw of complacency, it's about the discipline of perpetual motion. You must maintain your forward momentum at all costs, regardless of how much success you have already accumulated. Audit your goals right now. Are you working to build a business just so you can sell it and sit by a pool? Are you dieting just to hit a number on a scale so you can finally eat junk food again? If so, you are setting yourself up for a massive psychological crash. Your entire operating system is flawed. You have a choice. You can spend the rest of your life desperately clawing for a finish line that does not exist, burning yourself out with the false hope of eventual rest. Or you can fall in love with the dirt, the sweat, and the execution. You can choose to be a creature of the friction. You can accept that the struggle never ends. When you make this shift, your entire world changes. You stop asking, when will this get easier? And you start demanding, how much harder can I push? You stop seeking the weekend. You stop seeking retirement. Your coworkers and family members will tell you that you are a workaholic. They will tell you that you don't know how to enjoy your own success. They will beg you to slow down and celebrate. Let them whisper. You don't need their permission to dictate the terms of your own existence. They think comfort is the ultimate prize. You know that comfort is a coffin. Let them rot in their safety. You have signed the contract. You are bound to the climb. Write the contract in your mind right now. Declare it as law. Tell yourself, I will never stop. I will never declare myself finished. I will always seek the heavier weight, the harder conversation, the larger target. When my bank account is full, I will empty my energy into a new mission. When my body is tired, I will forge a stronger mind. I am not trying to get to the end of the game. I am mastering the absolute art of playing it. This is the definitive separation between the amateur and the elite. The amateur fights to survive the storm. The elite becomes the storm. The struggle never ends. You have systematically dismantled the illusion of the easy life. You have learned to stop running and turn directly into the fire. You have extracted the raw data from your failures and weaponized your darkest traumas. You have forged an iron mind, pushed straight through the agonizing breakpoint, and you have signed the ultimate lifelong contract. You understand that the friction is forever. You are a weapon forged for a war that has no armistice. You have mastered the mechanics of the climb. Now, let's talk about what you are going to do the exact second this audiobook ends. It is time for the final mandate. Listen to me very carefully. The audiobook is over, but your war has just begun. For the last 2 hours, we've stripped away your excuses, dismantled your desire for comfort, and exposed the raw truth. The hardship you've been running from is the exact forge where your greatness is built. You now know that comfort is a slow death. You know that pain is just data. You know that motivation is a myth and discipline is the only law. The map is in your hands, but the path is made of fire. What are you going to do now? Are you going to turn this off and go back to sleep? Go back to playing it safe, hoping the world hands you a participation trophy? No, not you, not anymore. I challenge you right here, right now. Find the hardest thing in your life that you've been avoiding and attack it today. Bleed for your vision. Stop proving. Start doing. Embrace the struggle. Now, get to work.